Evening everyone. Just getting myself all set up. Oh. Okay, I'm in. Oh dear. Bang and crash. Right, okay. I'm in. Evening everybody. Welcome to Wednesday evening's live paper crafting. Thanks to everyone who is planning to join me tonight. So let's get cracking. Tonight I am going to be playing with Hippo Happiness, which looks like this. It's a great fun stamp set. I absolutely love it. It jumped out at me as soon as I saw it in the catalogue, and I'm sure we will have lots of fun with it. Lots of information, ideas on social media already for this. Just search Hippo Happiness either in Pinterest or just in Google. Lots and lots of things that are coming up already, so I'm excited to show you what I've made. Right, so for those of you that have got a catalogue at home, you will find this stamp set and dies on page 49 of the annual catalogue. So you've got two-step stamping, and you also get the option to add in a set of dies, which are just down here. Hippo Happiness, you get 25 dies, and some of them are really lovely label dies. Stamp set is available in French and German as well, so really exciting. Pop that to one side. Where can I put that? I'll just put that down there. Right, so two cards we're going to put together tonight. First one looks like this. We've got a pool party card base, and then we've got some lovely hippos. Couldn't not use the hippos, could I? And then there is a bit of layering inside. This is one of the new dies, which is just stunning. It also leaves stitching on the piece of card that you cut it out from, so I'm sure that will be lots of fun. And then we have this one. So I had to use the unicorn. Love unicorns. Well, we do in our house anyway. And when I first got the dies, there were these two little dies in it. I was racking my brain thinking, what on earth are they? They look like this. Some of you might have these dies already. They look like that. No idea what they were for until I actually looked closer up in the picture in the catalogue. They're actually dies to cut out the holes in the labels to thread all your ribbon through. So how amazing is that? So we'll make that one as well. So to get started, we're going to do the pool party one first. I'll just put my dies back out the way before I lose them. So for this card, I'm using a pool party card base. It's half a sheet of A4, so I'm just going to move this up a little bit. Okay, so it's half a sheet of A4. So all I've done is I've scored all the way down portrait orientation at 10.5 centimetres, and then just cut in half at 14.9. Okay, so then we're just going to fold that in half. And then there's going to be quite a lot of big shot being used this evening, and I'm going to try and bring it into shot for you. So there might be a bit of jigging around with the camera. I'm just moving my cup of tea out the way. It's cold. Right, so we are going to need to use this die, which is beautiful. Absolutely love this die. And we're just going to cut our aperture. So all we're going to do, let me just bring my big shot in. That'll be a plate on the floor. A big shot plate, not an actual eating plate. Okay. Where are my plates? Do I have any spare ones on top? No, I don't. Let me just grab this off the floor. Okay. So we have our big shot, and we're going to lay our card onto our platform, and then we're going to pop this on here where we want it roughly. Okay, and then because I don't want it to move, I am going to use some washi tape to just secure this in place. So washi tape is great for using with your dies. The adhesive isn't too strong, so it does just peel off quite nicely, which is what we want. So just will this. Apologies those. So dies, Bev, these are the dies that go with the stamp set. They are called, let me just have a look what they are called. Where have I put them? They are called the Hippo and Friends dies. So the dies that you get the lovely labels dies, and then you get dies that go around the images, so really handy. So there is our piece that we've cut out. So there's going to be no waste this evening, because this piece here is the piece that we're going to use for our card number 2. So I'm going to pop that over there, and then I've pre-die cut some of these already. This is the next size down to this die. So this one's got some lovely pointed bits on it, whereas this one is more straight along the 4 sides. Okay, so nice different shapes there, but they all layer together really, really lovely. So what we can do now, we can add in our piece of card into our inside of our card. This measures 9.5 centimetres by 13.9 centimetres, so it's a whole 1 centimetre smaller than our card front and our inside of our card. Okay, so we're going to stick that in first, because actually this is the area that we're going to attach everything to, or most things. Okay, so we're going to layer together these two, but before we layer together the top one, we're going to do a bit of stamping. Okay, so we can stick this one down. So this one is going to go down like so. So I'm lining up these straight edges with these little extra kind of fluted bits. Now this one has been stuck down with some dimensionals. This paper, this designer series paper, is the new the new DSP for all the colour collections. So we've got this lovely polka dot on one side, and then the other side it's like a denim effect, I guess. Looks really fab in blue. And this colour is Highland Heather. So this is from the Subtles range. So that's stuck in there like so. Okay, evening mum, thanks for joining us. Now for some stamping, we need our circle and we need this Hippo birthday stamp. So I'm going to stamp in 2 colours, so I will need my stamping scrub. Just going to put that out of the way up there. So the stamping scrub, for those of you that don't know what this is, it is a stamp cleaner, super handy. It's got my name on it so I don't lose it. You wet one side with stamping mist and the other side you leave dry, and it cleans your stamps. So it's a really safe way to clean your stamps, and actually it does condition them as well, especially these photopolymer ones. So I'm just going to give that a little clean before I start. It needs a bit of a clean though. So we need Highland Heather and we need Pool Party, okay? Because we're going to do some repetitive stamping with the 2 colours. So to start with, we're going to use Highland Heather, and then all we're going to do is stamp across, clean our stamp, and then choose Pool Party, and then we're going to stamp again. Okay. And we're going to do this all the way down this circle. This is a really lovely technique. I do enjoy doing some repetitive . So I'm just doing this all by eye. Some of them will be closer together, but hey, it's all part of making a handmade card, isn't it? Okay. Just carry on repeating this all the way down. doesn't matter if some of them are in the exact same position. Didn't clean that one. So the other reason this stamp cleaner is really, really useful is because one, a lot of people use baby wipes to clean their stamps with, but one, it's really bad for the environment, and two, you will find that there will be transfer of fibres from the baby wipes onto your stamps, and over time it will damage them. So the stamp cleaners are really handy. I've had this for, so I've been a demonstrator for nearly 7 years, so I've had this for nearly 7 years, and it's still in great condition. So there we have that. So let's put that to one side. So we've done our repetitive stamping on our circle. What do we think? It's quite fun, isn't it? So now we can pop this onto our card. So this also looks lovely. This circle here comes from the stitched shapes dies, and actually it looks really fab when it's layered onto that, because it's not a scallop circle, of course it isn't, but I think it looks really sweet. Different kind of pattern. So we can attach that. We're going to attach that flat with a bit of Tombow. So this card is now starting to build. So we have it like so. And I'm just going to grab my Stamparatus, because for this stamp set, I'd say the Stamparatus is really quite handy. Okay, so this is Stamparatus. It's a stamping platform, so it just helps you stamp things, especially the two-step stamps. It helps you stamp them really quite accurately, or at least I hope it does tonight. Okay, so I'm just going to take my stamps off. So it comes with two platforms. So it opens up like so. You have one that goes that way, and you have one that comes down. Okay, this you can move them, pick it up and move them. So it's really, really handy. Okay, so to start with, I'm just going to use one, and we're going to bring in our piece of scrap card. Okay, so I'm going to line this up. This is the grid paper that you can purchase for it as well, which is really handy. Fits in nicely, or you can just cut up your existing grid paper. So you've got some lovely strong magnets, and that just holds your card in place. Okay, so for this we're going to use the Hippo, and you have the solid looking one, you have the more detailed one, and then you have a face. So to start with, we're going to use this solid one. So pop him down where you want him to be. I call him a him, he could be a girl, we don't know. So, or he could have no gender, but hey, we're calling him him. So you just move your platform across and pick up the stamp, okay? And that's now attached to that block. Now for the first layer, I'm going to use one colour for this. I'm going to use Highland Heather. So for the first layer, we want it to be a lighter shade. So I'm going to add my ink to my stamp using a dauber, okay? So just a little dip in the ink, and then you'll see that there's a really light coverage of ink there, so you can just about see it. And then just pull this over, push down. You have to be quite firm with this platform, and then just pick up like so. Okay, so we have our first one. Now, rather than taking him off, because now we know he's stuck there, we want to stamp him again later in blue. So all we're going to do is we're going to pick that up, turn it round, and we have a new platform there. Okay, so this is why we use the Stamparatus. We're going to line this up. This is our second image for our Hippo. We're going to line him up with his ears and his feet, and then you're going to move your platform across again, pick it up. Okay, he's now there in place. So now we want the darker shades. We're going to take our ink pad to our stamp, and you can see the difference there. So that is a lot darker than when we used the dauber. And then all you're going to do is you're going to bring him over, push down nice and firmly, and lift. So there's a little bit there because actually this is moving just slightly. Okay, let's just move that out a bit. So there's a little bit of shadow there, but it's better than it would have been if I was using a block. So now we can take that away and we're going to use a new one. So this comes with two anyway, and then this is his face. So we're going to line his face up. Actually, we're going to line his nose up. So you'll see that these two little dots here line up with these middle dots. Can you see that? So just line him up like so. He looks about there. My fingers are warm. That looks better. Okay, so now to use same premise, pick him up, and then we're going to use a bit of memento for his face. Okay, pop down, push down quite firmly, and there we have our little hippo, like so, in all the different colours. So then now to do another one, we're going to do another one in Pool Party. So we're going to line that up like so. Be careful with these magnets that they don't touch because they are super strong, and I've known a few to break. So now this stamp here, we know it's got some ink left on it, so rather than use our Stampin' scrub or a baby wipe, we're going to use a chamois. So this is just wet with water. You just wipe it across your stamp to take off that excess ink, and then you know it is clean. So the chamois is great for using with the Stamparatus because it's quite tricky to clean your stamps with the stamp scrub. So I'm just using Pool Party now. I've added the ink with my Adorba. Okay, so there we have number one, and then we're going to pick it up, turn it round, and we know this is already in place because it worked for the purple hippo. And then now we can take our ink pad to our stamp, pull it over again, push down nice and firmly, and there is a bit more detail on Mr. Blue Hippo. Take that one off, and then we can put in his face. So with this one, oh, the cat's just asking to come in. I'm just going to let her in. Come on then. She'll find herself somewhere nice to sit. And then push down again. There. So there we have two lovely little hippos that have been stamped with 3 different stamps. And to close this, so we don't need any more hippos, so I'm just going to pop these away. So this Stamparatus, it's been around for a few years now, and it's super handy. I don't use it as often as I should, but it is one of those things that when you do, you think, oh yeah, I remember why I have that. That is quite handy. Okay. So there is my hippo back in his box, and we can put the Stamparatus to one side. Okay, so then now we need to cut these out, but we're not going to fussy cut. We're going to use the dies. So this is a little hippo die. So we're going to line him up with his ears and his tail. And I'm just securing him with some washi tape so that he doesn't move. Okay, and then we're going to wheel this through our big shot, which is behind me. So there we have hippo number 1. Just move my camera back in, that's better. And then we'll do the same with hippo number 2. So the washi tape just holds the die in place. You can use the magnetic platform, of course, which is really handy. Do like to use a bit of washi tape. So there we have 2 little hippos. Okay. So then now we can bring this in and we can stick him on. So I have put one hippo inside my card like so, and one hippo on the outside. Okay, so we'll just make sure that they are in place. So I'm going to add a couple of dimensionals to the top one. I'm just going to cut these. So we're going to pop him about there. So we're going to have one just under his nose and one just under his front legs there. You want this only to be attached to the card front, okay? You don't want it to be attached anymore, okay? Now this little fella, he can be attached in there, and I'm going to use a bit of wet glue just under his face to stick him to our centerpiece. Okay, so there we have two little hippos on our card now, and then we have our sentiment to put together. So I am using a teeny little flower stamp that is in the set, and let's give that a clean. We want to stamp one in Pool Party, and then inside the card we have one there, so we can do that at the same time. And then a little clean of our stamp. You can also use the chamois as well. The chamois is really good for cleaning these stamps as well. There was a discussion, I think it was last night, about what do people prefer, the chamois or the Stampin' scrub. I didn't actually see what came out on top, but there was quite the debate over what people preferred. Okay, and then lastly we want our sentiment, which says Hippo birthday. What did I do with it? Here it is. So he's nice and clean, and we want to stamp this in Highland Heather. Okay, so he is stamped like so. Just going to close my ink pads. I have a real tendency to put my hands in ink pads that are open. So we have two little flower dies for our flowers. Now there is a right way and a wrong way for these flowers, and they are super fiddly, so I'm just going to work out where that is. Okay, so that's about there. I'm just going to add a bit of washi tape so that stays in place. You could fussy cut these, but I wanted to show you all how the dies work with this set. It's unheard of for me to not fussy cut, but it's good to mix it up, isn't it? So we'll just run that through our big shot, which is behind me. And then we can just pop these out. So we have one flower and we have two flowers. So they cut really, really nicely. And it's great, you get two dies in there as well, so that you don't have to cut, you don't have to keep running it through the big shot. So this, I'm going to cut this into a bit of a banner. Okay, and then this one like so. Oops. And then we can attach this to our card. Okay, so to do this, wrong card, if that's the one I've already made, we're going to put this on here like so. I'm just going to trim that down a bit more, just with a bigger pair of scissors so I can keep it nice and straight. That's better. I'm happier with that. Okay, so this is, we're going to pop that on there like so, and I'm going to attach it here, okay, so that it just stays a bit free. Okay, so that is there like so, and then this piece here, I'm just going to attach it round the back of my card. Just take off any excess glue. I put too much on there. Okay, so that's better. So this kind of just isn't stuck down. And then we have two little flowers, which I'm going to add with a bit of dimensional to raise. So you can use the mini dimensionals, or you can just cut out these normal sized dimensionals. Okay, so that one is going to go about there, and this one is going to go about there. And then to finish that off, I'm just going to add a couple of rhinestones, so I'm nearly out of these, to the centre of our flowers. Okay, so that is the front of our card finished, and then just the last thing to do on the inside, I'm just going to do a little bit of a line, and I'm using the coordinating Stampin' right marker. So this is Highland Heather, and I'm just going to draw a little line around the edge, just double it up. Okay, follow it along. I want to get the kind of double line effect, so that's why I'm going over it twice. And it doesn't matter if it's wonky, because hey, it is a handmade card, like so. So there we have our finished card number one. Oh, I have actually added a line around the front as well, but that's what it looks like without it. So that's finished card number one. We've used the little hippos, and we've done some repetitive stamping on our circle, and of course we've used our Stamparatus to create our little hippo characters. Okay, so that's card number one. I'll pop that up out of the way. All the details of these cards will be on my blog after, so have a check back in about an hour or so and it will all be there. So card number two, I always make 2 cards on a Wednesday. It's quite nice to spend some time with you all. Another mouthful of cold tea. So this card, I really love this card. I think it's such a cute little unicorn. They look fab in any colour. So I've used, for the hippos, I've used Highland Heather, and this little guy and the unicorn have been done in Pool Party. So we have another standard card base in a bookfold fashion. And I have used So Saffron as my card base, okay? So we can fold that in half. I'm just using a bone folder to make sure that the fold is nice and crisp. And then I have here a piece of the DSP. So this is the other side. This was the dots that we cut out our die shape there. Oh, take care, Baz. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to spending some time with you this weekend, virtually. Take care, bye. So this is the other side. This is like a denim kind of look. And it's just enough to kind of give a bit of a texture look to your card, okay? So this piece here measures 7.5 centimetres wide, and this Whisper White piece measures 8 centimetres wide. So we can stick these down to our card. So this one here, we're sticking it in the middle, and it is the height of the card. Okay, like so. And then our DSP is going on the top, and it's 0.5 centimetre smaller. So we have just a really nice little border of white showing either side. Okay, so I'm just going to trim off the excess behind to bring it up to the same height as the card, like so. Okay. And then this lovely piece of Pool Party that's been die cut is the piece that was cut out from our aperture there. So no waste tonight, ladies. And this is going onto our card like so. I'm going to stick that down flat. And this is going towards, it's not going in the centre, it's going more towards the right hand side of our card. Okay, so that is our card to start with. What we will need is, we will need some scrap Whisper White. Is that big enough? What we're going to do is we're going to use the dies. So this is one of the dies from the Hippo set. Is it wide enough? Let's have a look. Can I get that on there? Yes, I can. Okay, so we're going to stick that down with our washi tape. And this, for this set, washi tape is really important because you want to make sure that this doesn't move. And then we're going to use these two little dies. They are going to cut out the hole that we're going to thread our ribbon through. Okay, so we're just going to pop these down like so. And this is why you don't want it to move, because then it will look wonky. So turn this round. I'm leaving about probably a 2mm gap between the two dies. And then just stick that down. So let's just run that through our big shot. What it looks like. So these two dies really threw me at first. I kind of kept looking at them thinking, what on earth are they for? And then it wasn't until I looked in the catalogue I thought, oh. Okay. So we'll peel off our frame like so, and then these two little dies just pop out like so, leaving our pieces to thread our ribbon through. Okay, so we now need some ribbon, and the ribbon that I'm using it's a lovely gingham, and it is gingham ribbon, and it's in, I don't actually know what colour it is in, let's just check what it is. I don't think it's so, it might be Bumblebee actually, it doesn't say on the spool. Gingham ribbon in Bumblebee, yes. But it's a lovely colour to use with So Saffron. So what we're going to do is we're going to thread this through here. So I'm threading it through the back, round the front, and I want probably about that much. Okay, so just snip that off. And then before I stick this down, I am going to secure it. So I'm pulling it up so that it's in the middle of those two holes. And then, you guessed it, I'm bringing out my washi tape. Here we are. So I'm just going to secure that across the back. No one's going to see the back, so that's fine. And then this can be stuck down to our card with some dimensionals. Okay, with some foam pads. So 1, 2 and 3 in the middle. Okay, so just make sure that ribbon is definitely stuck down. Cat's going out now. Oh, there you go. And then this can be stuck down. I'm popping it towards the right hand of the side of the card. Makes a little bit of overlapping today. And then we're going to cut another piece out. So this is the next size down. So I'm just using some scrap Whisper White for that. I need to order some new plates for my big shot because these are getting rather warped. Okay, so there we have that one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do some stamping on there. I'm not going to tie my bow until I've actually attached it, so it'll probably be one of the last things I do. So with some So Saffron ink, I want the little flower die. Give him a little bit of a clean. So this, all we're going to do is we're going to stamp a selection of flowers, and I'm doing some in first generation and some in second generation, just to give a bit of different shading there. Okay, so I'm doing it in the top corner and the bottom corner. Okay, like so. And then the next phrase we've got is, when in doubt, be a unicorn. How cute is that phrase? Let's just ink off our stamp, and this is going towards the top like so. Okay, so now that's done, we can stick this down onto our card like so. Okay, so that I'm going to do with a bit of wet glue. And this one here, just want to line it up so that it is in the middle of those two dies. Can you see that? Oh. No, I need to stick this down. So I'm going to use a bit of, because otherwise the die on top just will not stick. Okay, so that's stuck down like so. Turn it up the right way, we might get somewhere. Okay, so now we're going to leave that to dry. Okay, and then we can stamp our lovely unicorn. So I'm bringing the Stamparatus back in, my stamping platform. So we're going to start with our solid unicorn. So let's put our card on. I'm going to just pop him there like so. Okay, so to start with, we're going to add our ink with a sponge dauber, because we want the lighter shade to come through. Okay, so just push down quite firmly on him there. And then we want our neck. So just line that up. The easiest way to line these stamps up is with the underbelly and the head, okay? Let's just pick that up like so, and then we're going to take our ink pad to our stamp to start with, like that. Okay, so there we have our little two coloured unicorn, and then his little face. So this one is really tricky. You need to line up with his nose. Okay. And then we can take off our little unicorn like so, and then this will pick up his face. Okay. It's quite nice to see these characters kind of come together, isn't it? Just realised I've stamped him in yellow and I should have stamped him in blue. Look. Oh well, we're going to have a yellow unicorn on this one. And then the last thing we need to stamp is his little horn. So we'll stamp that in blue. Okay, so then we need a die to cut him out. So all we're going to do is lay this on like so. Washi tape to keep him in place. And then we'll cut him through our die, through our big shovel. Just like that, okay? And then for the horn there is a die, but it was far too fiddly for my big fingers, so I'm just going to cut him out. I don't mind cutting some bits out, of course. Okay, and then we'll just add a little bit of glue to the underside. So there is his little unicorn horn, which we can now stick him on. So this is quite interesting actually. I've done the yellow unicorn here, and on the original card I did a blue unicorn. So we can have a little vote and see which one's people's favourite. There he is. So when in doubt, be a unicorn. We can now our bow. Can never tie a bow on a live. It's far too much pressure. Not too bad actually. And then just snip off the ends. Okay, so that is, oh, his little horn. Oh, Mr. Unicorn. Okay, and then to our flowers, I'm going to add a couple of little gems. And we're on the home straight now, guys. So just put one there and one on our little flower there. And then the last thing we have to do is the inside. So the inside, I have a piece of white. And this measures 9.5 centimetres by 14.9. Okay, so that's just going to be stuck in there like so. But before we do that, we've got a bit more stamping to do. I forgot about that. So I'm just going to do some more flowers. Just doing lots of kind of stamping until the ink is run out on the stamp. So there we have that, and we can now stick this piece in. This just brings the whole card together. There we have it. So our 2 cards this evening. This is our second one that we've put together. We've used the Hippo Happiness stamps and dies, and this is the second one that we've put together. So let's have a little vote. Do people prefer yellow unicorn or blue unicorn? I know which one I prefer, but it's not for me to say. And then the first card we did was this one. So this is a really nice kind of aperture card, like so. There's not a lot of space to write, so what I would probably do is add another sheet to the back of white, and then the back would be where I write. Okay, so all the information for those 2 cards will be up on my blog very shortly. All the products are available to purchase now. I've got a new hostess code for the month, so you can check that out. And this month, anyone who places an order between £25 and £149 will get a free stamp set next month. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you so much to everyone who's joined me tonight. I really appreciate it. It was a bit of a long one tonight. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon. My next live is at 8:30 on Sunday. So have a great week, everyone. And I look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care. Bye.